Markle adjusted the scanner on the roof of his outpost. The wind was strong today, sweeping dust over the hills of the terraformed moon called Alar 7. It was quiet here, too quiet. Markle had been alone for 4 months now. His job was simple: maintain the weather towers, monitor seismic activity, and send daily reports back to Earth Command. But this morning, something strange happened. The scanner picked up a distress signal, weak, broken, but definitely not human. He checked the frequency. Again, this isn't one of ours, he muttered. Markle put on his gear, loaded a small med pack, and jumped into the rover. The signal was coming from the North Ridge, about 20 kilometers from his station. As he drove, the landscape shifted rocky, dusty, with gray plants swaying in the wind. No one else lived out here. He shouldn't be picking up anything at all. After an hour of driving, he saw it. A ship, no, a wreck. Twisted metal and black smoke rose into the sky. The ship had clearly crashed. Part of it was buried in the hillside, and a wing had broken off and slid down into a ravine. Markle parked the rover and approached slowly, flashlight in hand. "Hello," he called out. No answer. He climbed over a broken panel and stepped inside. The interior was dark, cold, and oddly shaped. It wasn't made by humans. The walls were smooth, the colors soft blue and silver. Strange symbols lined the corridors. He passed two bodies, tall, slim, gray-skinned aliens. Their faces were still. No signs of life. He kept moving, his heart pounding. Then he heard a sound. A soft cry. Markle followed it to the back of the ship, where a shattered door led to what looked like a private chamber. There, lying on a tilted floor, was an alien woman. She was alive, barely. Her skin shimmered faintly under the flashlight, and her dark purple eyes blinked in pain. Her legs were bent at a strange angle. Markle knelt beside her. "You're alive," he said gently. She stared at him with confusion, then whispered something he didn't understand. He opened the med pack and injected her with a translator serum. After a few seconds, she spoke again. "Who are you?" she asked, voice trembling. "My name is Markle. I'm from Earth. You crashed near my outpost. I came to help." She tried to move but gasped in pain. "Don't try to stand," he said. "Your legs are badly injured. I cannot feel them." Markle checked her spine with a small scanner. The results worried him. There was a severe injury. Her lower spine was damaged, completely disconnected. "I need to get you out of here," he said. "No," she whispered. "You shouldn't be here. My people, someone might come for me. I don't see any ships coming." Markle said calmly, "You won't survive out here alone." She hesitated, then nodded. He lifted her gently, careful not to move her spine too much. She was light, surprisingly so. As he carried her out, she whispered something in her own language. The translator couldn't catch it, but Markle guessed it was a prayer or a farewell. Back in the rover, he laid her on the back seat, covered her with a thermal blanket, and began the slow drive back to the outpost. It was dark by the time they arrived. Markle took her inside and placed her on a padded cot in the medical room. The room wasn't fancy, but it had the basics. He connected her to monitors, gave her fluids, and carefully dressed the wounds on her legs. "Can you tell me your name?" he asked. "Rena," she said quietly. "I am of the Velari." Markle blinked. "Velari? You're royalty?" She didn't answer directly. "I was on a peace mission. The ship was attacked. We crashed. I did not know if anyone else survived." Markle sat down beside her. "You're safe here now. I'll help you. You're not afraid of me?" she asked. "No. You need help. That's all that matters." Rena looked at him for a long time. "You're kind. Humans. I was told you were reckless, emotional, quick to act." Markle smiled. "Maybe that's true. But sometimes that's what saves lives." Over the next few days, Rena remained in bed. Markle cooked simple meals, brought her books, and kept her warm. He scanned her spine again and again, trying to find a solution. The damage was severe. She might never walk again. But he didn't tell her that. Instead, he began to plan something. Human biotech had advanced quickly in recent years. Markle remembered reading about a neural interfaced a small device that could reconnect broken spinal pops using microsignals. It had only been tested on Earth, but he had some parts here. If he could build it, maybe there was hope. One evening, as he worked at his table, Rena spoke. "You are trying to help me walk again, aren't you?" He looked up. "I can't promise anything, but yes, I think I can build something that might help." She closed her eyes for a moment. "No human has ever done this for one of my kind." Markle looked at her gently. "Maybe it's time someone did." The sun rose slowly over the dusty hills of Alara 7, casting a golden light across the quiet land. Inside the small outpost, Markle was already awake. He stood by his workbench, sorting through wires, chips, and metal plates. His hands moved quickly, but his mind was focused on one thing: helping Rena walk again. In the next room, Rena lay quietly on the medical cot. She stared at the ceiling, her eyes full of thought. She couldn't feel her legs, and that truth sat heavy in her chest. She had always been strong, proud, and full of purpose. But now she was still, broken, and far from home. Markle walked in with a small tray. "Breakfast," he said with a smile. "Not very fancy. Oatcakes and fruit jelly." Rena sat up with effort and took the tray. "You don't need to do all this if I want to," Markle replied. "Besides, you're the first guest I've had in for months." She gave a soft smile. "Then I'm honored." They ate in silence for a moment. Then Rena spoke softly. "I keep dreaming that I'm running through the gardens of my home city, the wind in my hair, my sisters laughing. Then I wake up, and it's gone." Markle looked at her gently. "Maybe we can bring that dream back. I've been working on something." He walked to his desk and brought over a small device no larger than a coin, with thin wires spreading from the center. "This is a prototype neural connector," he said. "It's based on human tech. It sends signals between damaged parts of the spine, letting the brain talk to the body again. It's still experimental, but I think it could help you." Rena studied the device in silence. "This is dangerous," she said finally. "Yes," Markle agreed. "It might not work, or it might make things worse. But it's a chance." She looked at him. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." Markle paused, then answered honestly. "Because no one else will. And because you didn't ask to be hurt. You didn't ask to be left alone in a broken ship. You deserve more than that." For a long moment, Rena said nothing. Then she nodded slowly. "Very well. I accept. If this is the only path forward, I will walk it." Over the next few days, Markle worked harder than ever before. He barely slept. He tested the prototype on synthetic models, made adjustments, then rebuilt it again. Rena watched him from her cot, amazed by his focus. Though his tools were limited, his hands were skilled. He treated every wire, every circuit, with care. At night, they talked. Rena told him stories of Velari traditions, how each child was given a role at birth, and how honor was everything in her world. Markle told her about Earth, how people dreamed freely, how anyone could choose their own path. "You humans are strange," she said once. "You build things even when you know they might fail." "Failure just means you try again," Markle replied. On the sixth night, the device was ready. Markle brought it to her. "It's time." Rena looked at the small machine in his hands. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her voice was calm. "Let us begin." Markle worked carefully. He cleaned the area near her lower spine, applied numbing agents, and opened a small incision. With slow, steady hands, he placed the neural connector near the damaged nerves. The wires attached like tiny arms, wrapping around the disconnected pathways. The procedure took 2 hours. When it was done, he closed the skin gently and sat back. "It's in place," he said. "Now we wait." He attached a control panel to her arm. "When you're ready, press this button. It will activate the signal flow. You should feel something, maybe a tingle, maybe warmth." Rena stared at the button. "Will I feel pain? Possibly. But if it works, you'll feel something in your legs again." She took a deep breath, then pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Rena gasped. Her eyes widened. I feel heat on my foot." Markle leaned in. "Which one?" "The Left, she said, like sunlight on skin. Markle checked the monitor. Signal is moving. It's working. Rena's hand shook. She stared at her legs, slowly, carefully. She tried to move her foot. It twitched. Markle stood frozen. You moved it. Rena covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. I did. I really did. That night, they didn't sleep. Markle set up physical therapy tool straps, bands, and a support frame. Rena practiced moving her toes, then her ankles. The process was slow and painful, but she never gave up. You're stronger than most people I know, Markle told her. Pain reminds me I'm still alive, she replied with a soft smile. Every day, she improved. Every day, she moved a little more. And every night, they talked about hope, about fear, and about what comes next. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, Rena looked at him and said, Markle, if I walk again, truly walk, what will you do? He looked at her, surprised. I haven't thought that far. You should, she said, because I will walk, and when I do, I won't forget who helped me take that first step. The days on Alara 7 passed slowly but surely, marked by small victories and quiet conversations. Markle had never imagined his life would become so intertwined with an alien stranger. Yet here he was working tirelessly, learning about a world far beyond his own, and building a fragile bond with Rena. Each morning, Rena's legs grew a little stronger. She still needed help to sit up and move, but the neural connector was doing its work. More important, their walls of silence and caution were breaking down. One morning, Markle entered the medical room carrying a small, strange-looking instrument. It was a device he had made to help stimulate Rena's muscles, a simple tool, but one that could make a difference. Ready for some exercise? Markle asked, setting the device down. Rena smiled faintly. I was born ready. Markle helped her sit up. She steadied herself against the cot, breathing deeply. The muscles in her legs twitched as the device sent small pulses. It feels odd, she said, laughing softly. Strange can be good, Markle said, watching her closely. As the weeks passed, their conversations grew deeper. One evening, after a tiring day of therapy, Rena said, Tell me, Markle, what is your life like on Earth? What do humans value most? Markle thought for a moment. Freedom. The chance to choose who we want to be. We don't have rigid roles like your people, do we? Rena shook her head. No, in Villari society, roles are decided by birth and tradition. It gives us order, but it can feel like chains. Markle nodded. That sounds hard. It is. She admitted. I was chosen to be a diplomat, a voice of peace. But many don't trust me because I'm young, and because I tried to change old customs. Markle looked at her with new respect. You're brave to stand against tradition. Rena's eyes sparkled. And you risk everything to help me. Why? We come from different worlds. Maybe, Markle said, but I believe we all want the same things: hope, kindness, and the chance to live without fear. Their friendship grew in this way: shared stories, laughter, and quiet moments of understanding. One afternoon, as Markle prepared a meal in the small kitchen, Rena watched him carefully. You are a good cook, she said. Markle grinned. I try. Want to help? She nodded. Standing unsteadily, Markle reached out his hand, and she took it. Together, they chopped vegetables and stirred pots, her movements slow but sure. Your hands are strong, Markle said. Like you're made for work, Rena smiled. We Villari are built to endure. But I have never worked in a kitchen before. You're doing great, Markle said encouragingly. For the first time since the crash, they shared a simple, peaceful moment. As the days grew warmer, Markle took Rena outside for the first time in weeks. The fresh air and sunlight felt good against her skin. They walked slowly along a path near the outpost, Markle supporting her as she took careful steps. I can feel the ground beneath me, Rena said softly, eyes wide. Markle smiled. One step at a time. Suddenly, a soft humming sound filled the air. Markle looked up and saw a small drone approaching the outpost. It was Villari technology, sleek, silent, and elegant. Your people, Markle said. Rena's face tightened. They have come for me. I must prepare. That night, they talked long into the dark hours. Rena explained the importance of her mission, the dangers she faced, and the uncertain fate of her people. Markle listened, offering what comfort he could. He knew that soon, she would have to return to a world that might not accept her, a world where she could be judged or worse. But he also knew something else, that whatever happened next, their time together had changed them both. One evening, after a particularly hard day of therapy, Rena looked at Markle with steady eyes. Markle, why do you trust me? He thought carefully before answering. Because I've seen who you are, not what others say. You're brave, kind, and strong. You don't give up. Rena's expression softened. Trust is rare in my world. You have given me that gift. Markle smiled. And you've given me hope. Weeks passed, and Rena's strength grew. She could stand for longer periods, support her own weight, and even take a few steps with Markle's help. It was slow progress, but real. One morning, as they practiced walking near the outpost, Rena suddenly stopped. Markle, she said quietly, when this is over, what will become of us? He looked at her, surprised by the question. I don't know, he admitted, but I want to find out. She smiled a soft, hopeful smile. For the first time since the crash, there was a light in her eyes, a light that said she believed in a future. That night, as they sat watching the stars through the outpost window, Rena spoke again. Markle, you have given me something. I never expected hope. I will walk again, and when I do, I want you to be there. He reached out and took her hand gently. Together, he said. They sat in silence. Two souls from different worlds, bound by trust, healing, and the promise of what might come. The morning sky over Alar 7 was calm and blue. A gentle wind passed through the rocks and metal towers around the outpost. Inside, Markle helped Rena out of bed, just like he had done many times before. But today felt different. Today was the day she would try to walk on her own. Her legs were stronger now. The therapy, the neural device, and her own willpower had brought her this far. She no longer needed full support, only light balance. Markle stood beside her, ready to catch her if she fell. Are you sure you're ready? He asked gently. Rena, look straight ahead. Yes, even if I fall, I will stand again. She gripped the metal bar they had set up near the wall. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was slow and deep. She focused. Then, carefully, she lifted one foot and placed it forward. It was a small step, but it was hers. Markle held his breath. Then she moved the second foot. Another step, and another. By the fifth step, she let go of the bar. Markle's eyes widened. You're doing it, Rena smiled. I'm walking. She took 7 full steps before her legs shook, and she reached for his arm. He caught her before she fell. She laughed softly, joy filling her voice. I did it, she whispered. Yes, you did, Markle replied. You're walking again. That evening, Markle sat outside the outpost, watching the stars rise above the hills. Rena joined him, walking slowly but without help. She sat beside him, her face calm and peaceful. This sky reminds me of home, she said. What's your home like? Markle asked. Tall towers made of crystal, lakes that shine under the suns, gardens that sing with wind. She said, her voice soft. It's beautiful, but not always kind. He nodded. Earth isn't always kind either, but it's home. Rena turned to him. I will be called back soon. My people know I'm alive. They will come. Markle's heart sank. He had known this moment would come, but hearing it aloud made it feel real. Will you go? He asked quietly. I must, she said, but I won't forget what you've done for me. He looked down at his hands. You don't owe me anything. She reached out and touched his hand. That's why it matters. You helped me without asking for reward. That kind of kindness is rare. They sat together in silence, letting the stars say what words could not. The next day, a message arrived. The small drone that had appeared earlier had sent out a signal. Now, a reply had returned. A Valari rescue vessel was approaching Alar 7. It would arrive in less than 3 days. Markle and Rena both read the message. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Then Rena stood, still a little shaky, but proud. I must be ready. They must see me standing for the next 2 days. Rena pushed herself harder than ever. She practiced walking without support, trained her balance, and stood tall for longer periods. Markle stayed beside her, adjusting the neural settings, offering food and rest, and quietly cheering her on. One night, after a long session, she sat down with a heavy sigh. I wonder what they will say, she whispered. About what? Markle asked. About me, about being saved by a human, about the fact that I can walk again but only because of your science, not ours. Markle thought for a moment. They might not understand, but they'll see your strength, and they'll see that you didn't give up. She looked at him. Will you come with me? Markle blinked. To your world? Yes, she said. Stand with me before them. Let them see the human who gave me back my steps. He hesitated. Would they even allow that? I will. Make them, she said, her voice full of quiet power. You are not just a helper, Markle. You are part of my story now. On the 3rd morning, just as the sun rose, the Velari ship appeared in the sky. It was sleek and silver, shaped like a bird in flight. It landed gently near the outpost, raising only a small cloud of dust. Rena stood at the door, wearing the long silver robe she had stored in the crashed ship. Her hair was tied back, and she looked like the noble she truly was. Markle stood beside her in his Earth uniform, clean and straightened for the occasion. The ship's ramp lowered. Several Velari stepped out, tall and graceful, dressed in ceremonial clothing. They looked around and finally spotted Rena. The leader, an older Velari man, stepped forward. His eyes widened slightly when he saw her standing. Rena, he said. You live. I walk, she replied proudly. The man blinked. But how? She turned slightly and pointed to Markle. Because he helped me. This human Markle gave me back my legs, my voice, and my path. The Velari leader looked at Markle, confused at first, then thoughtful. Strange, he said. We were told humans were reckless, unfocused, even wild. Some are, Rena said with a smile. But this one is kind, loyal, and wise. Markle didn't know what to say, so he simply nodded. The Velari nodded slowly. Very well. You both will come with us. The High Council will wish to see this for themselves. Rena took Markle's hand. Together, they walked toward the ship. Inside, the ship was quiet and beautiful, filled with soft lights and smooth walls. Markle had never seen such advanced design. Rena walked with pride, her steps slow but strong. As the ship lifted off, she looked out the window at the dusty hills of Alar 7. This place saved me, she said. You saved yourself, Markle replied. She smiled. No, we saved me. The Velari ship glided through the stars like a silver arrow, heading toward Rena's homeworld Velara. Markle sat near a window, staring at the distant planet ahead. It was large, blue-green in color, and glowing softly under the light of twin suns. He had never left the Sol system before. Now, he was flying to an alien capital, on an alien ship, with an alien noblewoman at his side. He wasn't sure what would happen, but one thing was clear: nothing in his life would be the same again. Beside him, Rena adjusted the silver sash across her shoulder. She looked both calm and focused. Her steps were now steady. She could walk on her own, though her muscles still tired quickly. The progress she had made was nothing short of a miracle. Are you nervous? Markle asked. Rena shook her head. No, I have faced angry councils before, but this time, I have proof. I will show them I was not weak. I will show them what I became because of you. Markle gave a small smile. I'm just glad you're still standing. She looked at him, her voice soft. I'm not just standing. I'm returning stronger than I left. As the ship entered Velara's atmosphere, Markle looked out at the vast land below. Towering cities stretched toward the sky, shining with glass and crystal. Between them were lakes, forests, and white stone roads. Everything looked peaceful, organized, and elegant, like a world shaped by artists and scholars. The ship landed on a wide landing pad surrounded by tall banners. Soldiers in white armor stood in formation. As the ramp lowered, Rena stepped forward. Proudly, and Markle followed. A group of high-ranking Velari waited at the base of the ramp. Their faces were unreadable, their eyes sharp. In the center stood Alarin, Rena's uncle and one of the High Council leaders. "Rena," he said with a deep voice, "we feared you were lost." "I was broken," she replied calmly. "But I was not lost." His gaze moved to Markle. "And this human, this is Markle," she said clearly. "He saved my life. He gave me the ability to walk again. Without him, I would not be standing here today." The council members exchanged surprised looks. "A human did this?" one of them asked. Markle stepped forward, feeling out of place, but standing tall. "Yes, I found her after the crash and helped her recover. I used Earth technology to rebuild her spinal connection." There was silence. Then Alarin nodded once. "The council must hear this in full. You both will come." They were taken to a large hall made of white stone and glowing crystal. The High Council sat in a wide circle, each member wearing long robes and silver circlets. Hundreds of citizens filled the upper balconies, watching in silence. Markle felt the weight of 1,000 eyes. Rena stood in the center, her voice clear and strong. "I left Velara on a mission of peace. Our ship was attacked. I was injured, unable to move, and left for dead. I should not be alive today." She paused, then turned to Markle. "But I am here because of this man. He found me, protected me, healed me, and never asked for anything in return." The council members listened without speaking. Rena continued, "He used human tools and knowledge, not to control or harm me, but to restore my strength. He taught me patience, courage, and the meaning of kindness." One of the elders raised a hand. "Why did you not call for us sooner?" "I could not. My ship's signal was weak, and I was unconscious for days. Markle did what none of us could. He gave me back my body." Another council member spoke. "And what do you ask of us now?" Rena took a deep breath. "I ask you to recognize this human as a friend of Velara, and more than that, I wish him to stand beside me, always." There was a stir in the chamber. Markle looked at her, stunned. "What do you mean?" he whispered. She turned toward him, her eyes glowing with warmth. "Markle, you did more than heal my legs. You gave me strength when I had none. You believed in me when I had lost faith in myself, in my world. That kind of bond deserves honor." And then, in front of her people, she knelt on one knee and held out her family crest, a small, shining emblem shaped like a star. "This is the mark of my house," she said. "I offer it to you, Markle, not as a reward, but as a promise in Velari tradition. This means I wish for us to share our futures. Will you accept it?" Gasps filled the hall. Markle stood frozen. His heart raced. He looked at the crest, then at her face. He remembered the days on Alara 7, the laughter, the pain, the slow journey from stranger to friend. He took a step forward. "I don't know your ways," he said honestly, "but I know one thing. I care about you, Rena. I would follow you anywhere." Then he reached out and accepted the crest. A soft light spread from the emblem, glowing as it rested in his hand. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then one of the council members stood. "So be it. This human has earned honor among us. Let it be known Markle of Earth is now one with House Velar." The crowd began to clap, soft at first, then louder. Rena rose to her feet, her eyes shining. Markle smiled at her, still surprised but full of peace. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The days that followed were unlike anything Markle had ever imagined. After accepting Rena's crest in front of the High Council, he was no longer just a visitor. He was now part of House Velar, one of the oldest and most respected families on Velara. Rena had made her intentions clear. She wanted Markle to stand beside her not only as the one who healed her, but as someone she truly respected and trusted. Their connection had grown stronger with every moment they spent together. But life among the Velari was not simple. Markle now lived inside the Velar Palace, a tall crystal tower in the middle of the capital. The halls were quiet, the walls glowing softly with blue light. Servants moved quickly, speaking in hushed tones. It was beautiful, but also unfamiliar. One morning, a tall Valari woman named Tilla, who served as an advisor to the royal families, approached him in the hallway. "You walk the halls of our people now," she said. "But many do not yet accept you." Markle nodded. "I understand. I'm different." Tilla raised an eyebrow. "Different is not always bad, but it takes time. The council has allowed your presence. That does not mean the nobles will." Markle bowed politely. "I didn't come for titles. I came for Rena." That seemed to surprise her. She studied his face, then gave a short nod and walked away. Later that day, Rena joined him in the garden. She wore a long robe of blue and silver, her walking now almost natural. Birds flew overhead, their feathers shining in the light of Valaris. "Twin sons, you look like royalty," Markle said, smiling. "I was born to it," Rena replied with a playful tone. "But I never cared much for the formal life." "You seem calm," he said. She sat beside him on a stone bench. "On the surface, maybe. But inside, I feel a storm. Many still question me. Some think I should have died with honor instead of being healed by a human." Markle frowned. "That's not fair." "No," she said. "But it is the way of our world." He looked at her. "Do you regret asking me to stand with you?" She reached out and took his hand, not for a single moment. That evening, a special gathering was held inside the Hall of Stars, the largest chamber in the palace. It was a celebration of Rena's return and her full recovery. Nobles from across Valar gathered, dressed in beautiful robes, their voices calm but curious. Markle entered beside Rena, dressed in the formal robe of House Velar. The fabric shimmered with every step he took. He felt 1,000 eyes watching him, whispering, judging Dot as they reached the center of the hall. Rena raised her hand. The music stopped. The voices fell silent. "I stand before you healed," she said, "but not by Valari hands. A human from a distant world found me broken, and with nothing but his heart and his skill. He gave me back my future." She turned to Markle. "He did not ask who I was. He did not care about my rank. He only saw a person in need. That is why I chose him to stand with me." A noble from across the room stepped forward. His face was stern. "Are we to believe this human is worthy of our trust? He may have helped you, but what of his people? They are not bound by our laws." Rena answered without fear. "Then let him be the beginning of a new path, one where trust does not begin with law, but with action." Another voice rose from the side. "He is a stranger." Markle took a step forward. His voice was calm but clear. "I don't know your customs, your politics, or your traditions," he said, "but I know Rena. I know what she went through. I stood by her when she had no one, and I would do it again." The hall was silent. Then one of the oldest council members stood. His voice was deep and full of wisdom. "Let us not forget strength is not always born in our own walls. Sometimes it comes from places we do not expect." He looked at Markle. "You were tested, and you did not run. That earns respect." A soft wave of agreement moved through the crowd. After the gathering, Rena and Markle walked through the palace balcony. The stars above were brighter than anything he had ever seen on Earth. "You spoke well," she said. "I spoke from my heart," he replied. "You're changing minds," Rena said. "Even if they don't admit it yet." Markle looked out at the city lights. "Do you think we'll ever be fully accepted?" Rena smiled. "One step at a time, just like when I first walked again." They both laughed softly. Later that night, Markle stood in his new chamber. It was large, quiet, filled with books and artifacts from Valari culture. But he didn't feel like royalty. He still felt like a simple engineer, just trying to do what's right. There was a knock on the door. Rena entered, carrying something in her hand. "This is for you," she said. He took it, a small stone, carved with a symbol of unity. "What does it mean?" "It's the sign of shared paths," she said. "It's given only to those who have walked beside someone through hardship and stayed." He looked at the stone, then at her. "I don't know what our future looks like," Markle said, "but I'm ready to find out with you." Rena smiled. warm and true. Then we walked forward together. The morning light on Valara was soft and warm. Shining through the tall crystal windows of the Velar Palace, Markel stood. In the grand hall, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day of the official ceremony, a day that would change his life forever. Rena was by his side, calm and confident. She wore the ceremonial robe of her house, silver and blue, with the family crest shining on her shoulder. Her steps were steady, full of grace and strength. Markel looked at her and felt proud. They had come a long way, from the crash on Alar 7 to this moment. The hall was filled with Velari nobles, council members, and guests from across the planet. The air was thick with expectation. The High Council had gathered to witness something new, a promise between two worlds. The elder who had spoken in Markel's favor stood again and raised his voice. Today, we celebrate not just the healing of a noble, but the joining of two souls from different stars. Markel of Earth and Rena of Velar will unite their futures. Markel took a deep breath as Rena turned to him. Markel, she said softly, will you stand with me? Not just as a friend, but as my partner? Will you share your life and your world with me? His heart raced. This was more than he had expected. But looking into her eyes, he knew his answer. I will, he said clearly. I will stand with you always. Rena smiled and extended her hand. Markel took it, and together they stepped forward. The ceremony was simple but beautiful. They exchanged symbols, a band of woven crystal for Rena, and a small ring of earth metal for Markel. These were not just gifts, but promises. To care for each other, to honor their bond, and to build a future together. As the ceremony ended, the crowd erupted in applause. Many came forward to congratulate them, some still surprised by the union, but most touched by the courage and kindness that had brought them together. Markel felt a warmth he had never known. He was no longer just an outsider or a stranger. He was part of something greater, a family, a world, and a love that crossed the stars. After the celebration, Markel and Rena stood on the balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky with gold and purple. I still find it hard to believe, Markel said quietly, that this is real. Rena looked at him and smiled. Sometimes, the impossible becomes possible when you don't give up. He took her hand and squeezed it gently. You taught me that. They watched as the first stars appeared, shining like distant fires in the night. What will we do now? Markel asked. We build a new life, Rena said. Together, we will face challenges, yes, but we will also create hope for Valara and Earth. Markel nodded. I want to learn everything about your world, and maybe teach you a little about mine. Rena laughed softly. I would like that very much. The days that followed were filled with learning and discovery. Markel explored the beautiful city of Valara, meeting new people and seeing wonders he had never imagined. The Velari shared their history, their art, and their hopes for the future. Rena was his guide and partner in everything. She introduced him to her family, to her friends, and to the traditions that shaped her people. But she also listened as Markel spoke about Earth, its strengths and flaws, its dreams and struggles. Together, they began to build bridges between their worlds. One evening, as they sat beneath a glowing tree in the palace garden, Rena turned to Markel. There is something I want to show you, she said. He followed her down a path lined with sparkling flowers and soft lights, until they reached a small room filled with holographic images. This is our history, Rena explained. Our stories, our ancestors, and the events that shape Valara. Markel watched in awe as scenes played out in glowing colors, battles, celebrations, moments of peace and growth. It is beautiful, he said, and I feel honored to be part of this now. Rena smiled. And you will help us write the next chapter. Weeks passed, and the connection between Earth and Valara grew stronger. The council began to welcome ideas from both worlds. Scientists and diplomats worked together to share knowledge and build trust. Markel and Rena became symbols of hope, proof that kindness and courage could cross even the widest distances. One night, as they stood together on the balcony, Rena looked at Markle with a quiet smile. "Thank you," she said, "for believing in me, for helping me walk again, and for walking beside me now." Markle held her close. "Thank you for trusting me, for showing me what it means to be brave." They stood in silence, watching the stars, knowing that whatever the future held, they would face it. Together. End of the story.